everybody. Welcome to the Fired Up with CJ show. We are going to be talking to Russell Delman. It's the second part of our interview. And I wanted to talk to Russell about how to take his embodied life process and integrate it into a real life work experience. And so I wanted to, so just as a refresher, so there's three parts. There's a meditation part, so where you watch your thoughts and where they're going. There's, see if I've got this right. Give me it's a little test. The second part is Feldenkrais, where you're aware and present of your body. And the third is understanding your feeling. And with all of it, what I love about your work is there's the tapestry is set upon love. It's about love and kindness to yourself.
Yeah.
It's not punitive. It's not struggling. It's like accepting where you are and loving yourself, which I really love about your approach.
Yeah.
Did I get it right?
You got great. You did really well. Really well.
Not that it matters, of course. You would say a lot of people could have repeated that.
Well,
Just like Mother Teresa.
there you go.
What a lot of people could have repeated that. Okay, so I want to give an example of you're at work. We're going to take a common scenario. You have someone at work that gets on your nerves, or you're interacting with someone outside. So this could take many forms, but I think probably the solution is the same. There's someone at work that you have to work with all the time, and they just irritate you. Right. Or you're getting a coffee at Starbucks, and the person there is always just so grumpy, and you just don't like interacting with them. Or the bus driver is grumpy. Or you get home, and your child is whining in that way that they whine that just gets you irritated. So this is just you interacting with someone else who's irritating you, bothering you, or pressing all your buttons. So now how would you work with these three parts to come up with a solution?
Right. So the first thing I'll say, CJ, is if you're doing what I call doing your homework, doing your embodied life practices, which have to do with the meditation, the movement, and the self-listening, then you develop a kind of a reservoir of, it's like your immune system is stronger. Mm-hmm. So things don't irritate you quite as much. Mm-hmm. Also, when you do start noticing you're getting irritated, you notice it sooner, and you have a direction. The direction is to sense, I'm here in my body right now. To notice your reactions to the moment. Mm-hmm. Now I'm going to say something radical. Again, I don't expect anybody to agree with me, but to investigate. Mm-hmm. Is, in my opinion, other people don't create our experience. Mm-hmm. It's our reactions that create our irritation. Mm-hmm. Other people stimulate our reactions. But if we're going to be free human beings, it means to be responsible, able to respond in new ways to situations. So the person at Starbucks, second assumption I have is everybody's doing the best they can based on their personal history.
Right.
So I know this person at Starbucks is unhappy. And when I can see them as another human being struggling to find their way in life, and I know that it's not them that irritate me, it's my thoughts about, oh man, I want this person to smile when I come in here. It's those thoughts that make me irritated. Mm. Those thoughts are stimulated by them, but not caused by them. Mm-hmm. If I can enter my body and be present, I can see an unhappy human being who needs a smile from me. Mm. And then I can have an interaction with a person where I'm growing the kindness in my world because I'm kinder.
Mm. Okay.
Rather than expecting them to grow the kindness in my world, I take responsibility for, I'm seeing them. And if I can be present in myself, then I'm not in my reactivity. Or if I've already gotten reactive, I'll see it sooner. Mm. And maybe at first I can't see it until I'm walking out of Starbucks. And then I'll be kind, oh yeah, got caught again. Maybe next time take a breath before you go in, and see if you can kind of notice how you begin to react to that person.
Okay. Just can I? Do you have time for one more example?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So let's say that you're teaching. This is a slightly different variation of that, right? The
Right.
Starbucks one is kind of, in some ways, an easier one because you're not going to see that person. There's no long-term repercussions, perhaps, from like that a bad exchange. So there's not a punitive thing. So let's say that I'll take an example of my. I was at personal training, and I actually could tell that the trainer was getting irritated with me because guess what I do? I ask a lot of questions.
Right.
All right, so
Good for you.
yeah, so she's like, "I'm an introvert, and you keep on raising your hand, interrupting my presentation with your questions."
Hmm.
So I can tell that she's getting irritated with me, and
Right.
I don't want her to be irritated with me,
Right.
but yet I want my questions answered. Okay, so
Sure.
I'm less going into my story and more her story, which is, oh, there's that person interrupting me with her questions again. And I'm going to have to sit in the classroom with this person for the next 5 days, 9 to 5. This person raising her hand all the time. Okay, so she could go into her bot. So the first step is so let's work through that one,
Great.
right? Because
Okay.
and it could be anything like I'm
Great.
meeting with the finance director, and we
Yeah.
always seem to like, each time.
Great. It's great. Yeah. So, first step, in my opinion, is we need to step back from the reactivity.
Hmm.
The reactivity is our past trying to protect us from a difficulty. To step back means we need some other place to go. So rather than going into nyam, 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 nyam,
Yeah, the
or
narrative that you said before that you identified in your
right.
meditation.
So we enter present moment by, okay, I'm standing. There's a breath. I see her. I, I say hello to the place that's getting annoyed. If I'm quick enough, I can also realize that the annoyed place is scared of something.
Mm.
If I can, if one gets aware enough, one can notice that in real time, and one can calm that place down by acknowledging it. And then something like, you know, thank you so much for these questions. I see just how active, how much you want to learn what we're working with. And I'm going to do my best to really answer all your questions. And what works best for me is if it's not interrupting my flow at this moment, but I promise you, I'll get to every question you have before the end. So we'll
Mm-hmm.
allow time a little later, but just try to, because I think I'll probably answer a bunch of your questions just in the presentation. So if you could just hold back a little bit, but I really appreciate how involved you are and how
Right,
active you are.
right.
So in my experience, CJ, if I'm not defensive, there's something in everybody's behavior that I appreciate. I'm not making that up to be nice.
Right. No, you're actually going back to, all right, now CJ is just another embodiment of me, right? And what she has some good purpose that I'm not seeing in my narrative story. So what is that? Because you said that you assume best intentions. What is that
Right.
possibly? Why is all that questioning happening?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
oh, I see. She's just really wants to know. But then I'm kind to myself. I know that the interrupting is hurtful to me because I lose track. I already lose track, and so
Right.
her interrupting is making it really hard. But if I promise her to do what she needs and do it in a way that I feel comfortable, then perhaps we can reach a
Right.
solution.
Right. And I find people, when people feel seen, valued, respected, there is an opening. And that
Mm,
is true even in rather hostile situations.
mm-hmm.
And so, whoever has the greater capacity at the moment, whether in your marriage or in a business relationship, you're the listener first.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to convince the other. Most people's arguments are about you said this, you said this. I'm doing about what happened or what should happen. And really, what's going on is people are want their feelings welcomed and seen
Mm,
and observed, and they want their value to be affirmed.
mm,
When those are there, the what happened and who did what is much easier to resolve. So
mm-hmm,
you got to change the order of things.
mm-hmm.
Most arguments in marriages live in that. This is what happened. You said this. No, you said this. He said, she said, da, 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 back and forth. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. Why don't you ever agree? You never give me attention. I gave
Right.
you attention this morning. Back and forth, back and forth. And those don't resolve.
Right. Whereas you said, I can see that you're feeling like I'm not recognizing you, or I'm not
Yeah,
spending enough
yeah.
quality time with you.
Right,
Right.
right,
Versus kind of like, I did see you. Like,
right.
didn't we spend time the other day going on,
Right.
like that kind of thing. Whereas if you
Remember
just,
on Wednesday we
yeah,
spent that whole.
like, how many times do you need to see me during a week? Right. Versus just like, I see that probably, that somehow, whatever, if it's the feeling, the thought, or
Yeah,
acknowledging that. So it's just like the same thing that you do on the cushion, where you go,
exactly.
"Hi, how are you? Oh, yeah, lunch will be coming soon."
The
Interesting.
Cushing is practice for life.
Yeah, love it. Okay. Can I pick one more
Go ahead.
scenario? Okay. So you're making a big decision at work, in life. Should I do this? Should I do that? This job has these pros, that job has this pro, or this business project has these problems. You go through this kind of
Right.
right, your whole mind is
Sure. Sure.
this kind of thing. How would you use your process for something like that?
So first, you know, in my opinion, we need the checklist of positives, negatives, all like that, but
Problem, solutions, whatever.
rarely is enough for a really helpful decision.
Hmm.
So that part of our being needs expression. Write out your pros and cons or whatever. But we need to go to a deeper level of ourselves to feel what's really the right next thing
Mm,
for this human being in this life.
mm,
One level is the pros and cons. Another level is how it feels in our body when we try on these different possibilities. It's learning, and we'll do some of this in the weekend workshop. It's learning how to listen to what I call the wisdom body.
mm.
Wisdom body is the integration of our physical body, our feeling body, and our thinking. We need them
Ah.
all together in connection to the world that we're dealing
Ah, okay. So
with.
let's say that I could do job one, which is to be an HR person, and it's a new opportunity, but I just don't really know if I want that. A couple pros, a list of pros and cons. Or I could stay in my current job, but if I stay in my current job, I've got like these known issues. There are known issues, and I've got to deal with this person. Blah 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 blah. Okay, so I'd
Right.
go into that and just like, okay, I'm imagining being in my current job. I already know what that feels like. Okay, imagine being in this future job as an HR person, but I
Well,
don't know.
actually, I'd go slower.
Yeah.
I'd go slower. I'd get the what I called before the felt sense of being in the current job. I'd also want the felt sense of not being in that job.
Ah, perfect.
How it does is it a relief? Is it, oh man, I have been wanting out of this, or is it a real sense of loss,
Right.
how does it come? And then I'm picturing the other job, having it and not having it. And so I want to
Mm.
get all that data from my inner world.
Mm.
And then the conscious being, the true I, is listening to the inner life and how it lives in these different scenarios.
Ah, okay. So that could even be, this takes many forms, right? I have actually three different strategies that I could use to
Yeah.
accomplish a goal. Sit with, and actually, probably all three of them are viable. But
Mhm.
it's like sitting and understanding, well, I'm the one who's actually going to be involved in this. So, how do I try on doing that strategy? Not doing that
Right.
strategy, or
Yeah.
doing strategy two or three?
Yeah. Yeah. And giving it time so that the body goes a little slower than the thinking. So or at least are being in touch with it. So we need to not make, give me the answer. It needs no pressure. It needs invitations. Okay, show me what it would be like to be never going to work there again. And so then we listen, we listen, we listen, we listen in our belly, we listen in our chest, we see what comes, and we spend time there. So it's really interesting that we have these different sources of knowing.
Right.
And it's my contention that something in us knows the right next step.
So you may even ask yourself, what is the right next step?
Right. But it's not in thinking alone. Thoughts alone lead you astray. Feelings, don't trust your feelings. They'll lead you astray. Don't trust your body. That will lead you astray. Don't trust what people say in the world. That will lead you astray. But put all four of those together, your physical body, your feeling body, your thoughts, what's happening in the world around you, let them integrate. Out of that comes the wisdom body showing you the right next step.
And then sometimes what I tell clients is that they're like, well, I don't know. I did that exercise and I still don't know. I'm like,
right.
Well, then I think you have your answer. You don't
right.
know.
Take your time. Right.
Yes.
Live with the question. Live with the question.
Yeah. And then even if you don't know, what do I know? What don't I know?
Right.
Tune in and like to all those 4 levels of intelligence.
Right.
Love it. Thank you so much.
It means so much to me that you're listening to the show. Would love your support in any way by giving me comments below, or to subscribe to the show, or share the show with friends. Thank you again for your support. Love and blessings.